Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's gone until 1 minute ago. Oh, God. Hey. Good evening, folks, and welcome to Contact with Lesley Mitchell-Clarke. If you just heard me griping in the background there, it's because we've been having significant internet problems here in the Knott studio in Toronto, in my home, and Blog Talk Radio just conked out 1 minute before the show is to go on air. Anyways, tonight's show is pre-recorded with Robert Mason. It's a fantastic show. We recorded it about 3 weeks ago or so. It's very honest, very frank, and very revealing. So we hope that you'll listen in and maybe give us a ding on our Facebook page if you found something that you enjoyed. So I'm going to queue up the show to run right now, and I will apologize in advance for some audio problems. We were recording the call through Skype, and there were some technical glitches, so at times Mr. Mason fades out and fades in a little bit. But on the whole, I think you'll get his very potent messages. Enjoy.
We are not alone. And a very, very good evening, everyone, from Contact. This is your host, Lesley Mitchell-Clarke. And as always, I am joined by the show producer and my partner in crime here, Mr. Wes Roberts. Good evening, Wes. How are you doing?
Hey, Lesley. Doing very well. Saying a sad farewell to summer around here, but I think our listeners have already heard us go through this, so I'll just say that fall brings winter. This is all I'm saying.
Okay, I know, but you know, it's going to be so spectacularly beautiful here in just about a week or so. And I love the fall because there are a wide variety of very cool festivals and events. You certainly have from the Jewish tradition. We've got Yom Kippur, Jewish New Year, and Rosh Hashanah, Day of Atonement. We've got coming up, we have the Celtic festival of Samhain. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but and of course we have All Hallows Eve with its Northern European and also Catholic tradition. So it's a time of great celebration, and I love the fall. So there you go. It's my ode to fall. All right. So we are really excited tonight, folks, because we have a guest that I am so excited to chat to. We are going to be talking to a gentleman who is based in Australia, and he is a UFOlogist. He is an Exo-Politician. I believe he is an experiencer. He's a metaphysician. I know he does some healing work. So he is an all-around fascinating guy, and that is our friend Robert Mason. And we're going to be chatting with him, and he's going to be telling us a bit about his past and his experiences, and I just can't wait. So we're all about the experiences tonight, Wes. That's what we're talking about. And I should add, folks, that this is a pre-recorded show this evening because, of course, we are talking to Robert in Australia. Very difficult to arrange that for a live airtime. So this is a pre-recorded show. Unfortunately, we won't be able to take your live calls or respond in your chat room. But if there is anything that you would like to share with regards to a question for Robert or a comment, you can always leave a message on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/ excuse me. You go ahead, Wes.
Sorry. No, you had it.
I barely can turn on the computer, you know.
No,
I was so close.
It's just contact RS. So drop it to our Facebook page, and you can also shoot me a line at contact.producer@gmail.com.
All right.
Lesley.
That's right. Or you can get me at contactradio.host@gmail.com. And before we bring on Robert, I just wanted to thank our very generous sponsors. Without our sponsors, there would be no Contact Radio. And we're in our 4th year. Isn't that something, Wes?
It's fantastic.
I can't imagine how exciting it is for us to think back to that year 1, and we would have like 7 listeners. And then, so now we have people listening and tuning in and sharing and experiencing all over the globe, from Australia to Alaska, and it is such an honor. So we are going to thank our sponsors. We would like to thank UFOria. And UFOria, of course, is led by our good friend James Borg. And James Borg's going to be on the show on the 28th, by the way. We're actually going to be talking about paranormal investigations. We're going to have Miss Carrie Chillicott with us, too, who is a very, very renowned paranormal investigator. So, UFOria, thank you all you wonderful UFOrians, Carl Dory out there, and, of course, Loretta and Charlie and all the rest of you great folks. We'd also like to thank Origo Books, that's O-R-I-G-O, origobooks.com. We would like to thank conspiracyculture.com, our friend Patrick White. And we would also like to thank Enchanted Reveries Jewelry. That's enchantedreveries.etsy.com. Beautiful jewelry made of marvelous ingredients, metaphysical, magical. And we'd like to thank Variety Store Productions, our good friend Greg Summer, his wonderful full production house, varietystoreproductions.com. And last but not least, the Canadian Hypnosis Convention. We'd like to thank Barb and our wonderful friends there, and I will be speaking at the Canadian Hypnosis Convention on October 24th. I'll be speaking about the work that I do as a hypnotherapist with abductees. So if you find yourself in Western New York or in the Toronto area, that is the 24th, 25th, and 26th, the Canadian Hypnosis Convention. Okay, that is enough. That's enough, thanks.
Well, we know a lot of good folks, so it's great that they're listening, great that they support us, and great that they're going to get to know people like Robert.
Indeed, and without further ado, I would love to introduce to you Mr. Robert Mason, live, not taping now, from Perth, Australia. Hey, Robert, how you doing? And a very good morning to you, mate.
Thank you, Lesley. Good morning to you, too, and to you, Wes.
Thank you so much. Now, I know that you are involved in a variety of activities in a variety of disciplines, and I hope I was not out of line calling you a ufologist and an exo-politician, because I know you're very concerned with our relationships with extraterrestrials. How did this interest begin, Robert?
Well, from a young age, because after what happened in 2012, I've gone back in my mind and in my memory, and I've done my best to see where this could have started, where this originated from. And as far as I can go back, there's one of the dreams that I had when I was a young child, and I'll never forget it. And it's like basically the dream that it's like the first I remember even having sort of as well. And it's at night time. I'm in a park, and there's these 3. I'll never forget it. And at the time, it didn't mean that much to me. But there was these 3 beings, like they were blue, and they were tall, and they were like just energy. And then as a child, I've just presumed them to be ghosts or something. And then the one in the middle, walked up to me, stood inside of me, and then that same moment, I was looking at myself laying on the ground and watched this entity lay inside of me. And then I woke up, and I was probably only about 5 or 6 years old, and I woke up, and I couldn't move. I was frozen stiff. I was in all night till the sun come up that next morning. I just couldn't move, and then that didn't really mean much until 20 years afterwards, where I've looked back and gone, geez, I wonder if that's where it all started from. But and then I get really excited about it. I've got to try and keep on track, but. Pretty hard life. I haven't had an easy life, that's for sure.
Yeah.
How old were you, Robert? Do you remember exactly?
10 years by age. Sorry?
How old were you exactly? Do you remember by chance?
Yeah, I was in year 3, so I was 10.
10. Okay. All right. Well, that's a very, it sounds very much like you had a profound experience. Robert, was that, now I know were you actually born in England and raised in Australia?
No.
Ah.
No, I was born in Perth, and my mum and dad are both from England. I'm just first generation Australian.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And then, so I'll carry on?
Yes, please.
Yeah. And then, so I've had a reasonably, or would definitely say I've had a hard life, but at never at one point have I be someone else or trade places with anyone else, because I always knew, or had this feeling deep down inside me that something in my life, and no matter what's happened and whatever situation I've been in, I've never wanted to be someone else, or because I just knew something was going to happen. And then so when all this stuff has actually happened to me, it just blows my mind. Like, I think of every day I think about it, and I get and feelings, excitement out of this that people don't really understand. Like, how can Robert just keep running on just good feelings all the time because of what happened? But I'm just trying to think of a way to explain it. But it's just give me something. It just give me something, because I never had religion as a child. My parents weren't religious or anything like that. My mum and dad were both like 16 when they gave birth to me, and they were basically just children giving birth to a child, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
He thought he was only protecting his property, and people come to our house, try to hurt us, and someone got killed. And it's a long story short, a lot has happened for my dad, and that's my dad's story. But so he was out of my life. He went to jail for murder, and my grandparents would every weekend or second weekend take me to see him on the prison farm, which was like an hour or two away. And I'll never forget, every time I used to get excited about the trip, because we'd listen to War of the Worlds.
Oh yeah.
And I've always been told as a child, like, I've got a wild imagination, and I would be, just if I was playing with other children, they would all be playing the game, and I'd be like standing there on my own, and everyone would be like, "What's wrong?" But they don't understand it. I'm having like the best time inside my mind. I just always had really imagination, and because I did have a hard life, I would often think, how's this life going to get better for me? And this is often, like, I would often have this thought at that because I was like X-Men and supernatural and stuff like that, and I wish that I had powers of my own, and I'd always think to myself, I wish like aliens would come down, take me away, and do something to me, and then it's stupid, I know it's stupid, just as a child, and then would just come and just give me some super abilities which would make me something else. And then so that was just as a child, because like I said, after all this has happened, I've really gone through my entire life to really have a look at it and see what the story is here. And so that's happened. And then my grandparents worked hard, and they saved up enough money to take me and my brother to go to England. And at that time, because the laws had changed in Australia, my man's charges got dropped from a murder charge to manslaughter, because he was at home protecting his family stuff. Then he got let out because the time already served. So my dad went over to England. My parents that were already there at the time, was in doing a trip to go there. It was my nan's lady, and my granddad is a good man. They knew that me and my brother had pretty hard childhoods, and they tried to want to give us something like something special, like take us to England or something like that, which we always, on a plane or anything like that. Come from background as well, but and so we're getting on, and then so about a year before this trip happened, I already knew about the trip and was so excited and was building it up. And all my life, I've always been fascinated with anything to do with like Schwarzenegger or special forces and armies, and I'm not like a bad person, but I'm just fascinated with combat and play video games and stuff like that. And we had my dad's cousin Cheryl Lee was married to a man who was in the British SAS for over 20 years, and for a long time he was in the British Special Forces, and I knew about this before going to England. And one of the main things I was excited about was being actually able to meet the family member Carl, who was in the Special Forces and had been so for such a long time. And in my mind, it was I was actually going to meet like a real action man sort of thing. So we'll get to England. Oh, actually, so I'll go back. So on the flight on the way to England, like I said, it was a whole new experience for me. I had a window seat. My dad let me have the window seat because I was older than my brother, and knowing that my brother probably wouldn't be able to remember most of the trip anyway. And so, but the whole time I was looking out the window, just thinking to myself, there may not ever be a chance that I'll ever get to see this planet again. Do you know what I mean? So I want to try and see as much as I can of it out the window, and there's like clouds and bloody ocean. And then I remember we got flying over Asia, just coming up to the bottom of Russia in the Himalayas. And that's when the clouds started to clear up, and I was seeing the tops of these mountains, and I was like, wow, I was really getting a good look, you know. And I was like, this is brilliant. I was getting a real good look at the world. And then it was like breaking up between the clouds, and then I'll never ever forget it. I'll never forget it. I'm looking out. It was like, just didn't expect to see what I seen or what was going to happen, but it was just this one moment where I just quickly just turned to the right to look out the window again to look at the top of these mountains, and the plane is just all of a sudden just lifted up, like all in the same moment. It's lifted up, and this thing, which I would say, which was a long cylinder-shaped craft, and it wasn't separate. It wasn't joined together in the middle. There was like if you were to picture a magnet, like pulling something or propelling something, you know, when they don't touch, but they can still hold each other there, sort of thing. It was like that, and it just stopped under the plane for a moment. And then I just looked at it and going, oh my God, what's that? And then just shot off like a bullet into the clouds, like straight ahead. And I know the people in front of me seen it. And as soon as this happened, all people on the plane were like talking amongst themselves, like, oh, what was that? What was that? What was that? A lot of people had actually seen it. I know the pilot seen it because he lifted the plane up to avoid hitting this thing.
Oh, wow.
At the time, the first thing that came to my mind was, oh my God, we're flying over Russia. The Russians are shooting rockets at us, trying to shoot our plane down. That's the first thing that came to my mind. And then I was like, and it was huge, like, I was on an airplane, and the whole time, I'm serious, the whole time I was looking out the window, I did not expect this huge, and it was metallic, and I can remember parts of it having the colour yellow. I don't know why yellow, but yellow just, and it turns out that another craft I've seen many years later had these same colours of the yellow on there. But yeah, it just showed the thing, and I always, especially after what's happened now, I look back and I know that moment, that craft that stopped under our plane, I would say from wingtip to wingtip, it was double that in sand in length. It was huge. It was absolutely huge.
Wow.
I've seen it. I was like, oh my God, and then just shot off again. And like I said, it was a cylinder shape. So I was like, what's going on here? It definitely wasn't another plane. Was that a missile? Or I wasn't too sure. And then carry on. I went to England. I met Carl. It was beautiful. We had the best holiday, and I'll never forget it. You know. And I made a really strong connection with Carl, and that's my family member who was in the British Special Forces. And I can't go into any more what he was, or because it could be dangerous if I talk any more about it. But I'll tell you more. So I met Carl, made a real strong connection, and then I'll never forget that the moment where I said goodbye to Carl, when we were in Bournemouth, not Bournemouth, Brighton, down the bottom of south of England, and we're going to go back up to Portsmouth to see the rest of my family, and we'd stay with Carl and my cousins for a week. And I remember getting really upset and crying, and my dad was like, why are you so upset? Because, I shouldn't be so upset say goodbye to Carl, because my dad's my dad, you know what I mean? It's a funny thing, but now looking hindsight, I realise why. So then I'll fast forward now. So, but in the meantime, I had my I've had what would I say? I don't know. Like, because I'm a bit of a dreamer, I've like fallen in love with a girl, and then I have all these fantasies in my mind how it's going to turn. And then when it doesn't, then when they rip my heart out and all that stuff, I just fall to pieces, you know. So that happened a couple of times, and I went in prison because I got. I had possession of some firearms. I went through for a year, and all this other stuff happened. And then, so I suppose when I was in prison, and for some reason, something just sparked in my, every time in my life happened, or like another hard point, ever since that flight, I go, okay, wait, so you better do this anyway, won't you? I just want to go back to this 1 second. So when I got back after the flight, which was in 2000, I got back from the flight by trip, which was in 2001, and then a few months after that, September 11 happened, and we had the terrorist attacks and all that stuff.
Yes.
And then the internet became really big, sort of thing in Australia, because it took a while for internet to really take off here and for everyone to get computers. And then once a few of my friends had computers and we're looking on the internet, on YouTube, we come across some UFO footage. And that's when I've seen one of these big cylinder crafts flying underneath an airplane. And I've told him to stop it. I said, look, mate, that's that thing I'm telling you about. That's the thing that I've seen that's flying under my plane. And for years and years, or for at least, let's say 5 years, I would have girlfriends and stuff like humiliate me, like laugh at me, like tell me, don't talk about that, Robert, people don't want to hear about it. Even though I was so convinced that that's the thing, that was the craft that funded my plane that I'd seen. And that I would stop sitting in Greer at the Disclosure Project, and I'd watch things like the Disclosure Project, and that was like my safety blanket for a long time, because that gave me is what I needed myself.
Yeah, you needed that validation, Robert.
Yeah.
You needed that validation that other people were experiencing those kinds of things and had been regularly. In fact, ironically, if I could just interject for just a second, I actually saw a cylinder craft like what you are describing only last month. And last month I told Wes all about it. Yeah, just exactly. It had to have been massive, but it was quite. I was on the ground driving, so it was probably 500 meters up, I'm guessing, something like that. But anyway, continue on, Robert. I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm sorry if I'm jumping all over the place as well, because I get really excited, and I'm just trying to keep it all together as well.
It's all right.
But,
just let it come out as it comes out. But I think that if you had an experience, at the age of 10, the one that you described, I would well imagine from what I know about working with experiencers, you probably have experiences that go back much earlier than that.
Exactly, yeah. When I'll just clear something up. When I was on the aeroplane in the year 2000, I was actually 14 at that stage. When I had that incident when I was 10, and that was when I had the dream about the 3D light beams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
so I was 14. And that was like 14 years ago now. It's in the year 2000. And then so I got back watching. So I had the internet to refer to for my UFO stuff. And at that time, in the early days, if you would remember on YouTube, 90% of the UFO footage was crap, was fake, was stuff that people had made on their computers, or bloody someone throwing a frisbee in the air, and a lot of it was just rubbish. And the only real thing on there would have been the Disclosure Project. So I stuck with that for a few years. And then what's happened is, so then I got out of prison. So I went to prison for a year, and at the time I went to prison, I was with a girl that I really, really, really liked, and I still really love her. But I went to prison. And it was funny because I don't know if I did it by thinking about these things, or if I was given insights to what was going on. But I would have dreams about her being with my mates, or stupid stuff like that. And then I got out of prison to find out that I was pretty much 100% right the whole time about what I was thinking and seeing in my mind, And so at that point I was like, I've never ever wanted to kill myself or anything silly like that, but I'd just given up. I just thought, fuck everything, fuck this, fuck everything, fuck life, this is shit. I was just had enough, And that was early 2012. And I met my mate, and he was going through some same stuff. He was like just feeling down and just giving up on hope as well. And he goes, he book about the Golden Age, the coming time of the Golden Age and the Mayan calendars and all that stuff. And because I've always had this crazy imagination and all this stuff, I was more than willing to jump on wagon with him and go where he wanted to go and research and look into this stuff, just to get my mind off of F and all this other stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we've really started looking into it, and then every now and then when there's a break, I'll tell him, let's look at the UFO stuff, because I was always interested in UFOs, always in my, I've always been fascinated with aliens, like Star Wars, like that. If I had a religion, Star Wars is my religion. I love Star Wars. So yeah, finding out about the Golden Age, and then we looked into Graham Hancock, and Graham Hancock's talking. We just put it out so smoothly, just say basically these megalithic structures are millions of years old. And you'd know the story about the Golden Age and all that stuff.
Oh yes, yeah.
Full of research, and then what's happened? Yeah, and so then what's happened in about September 2012, I've received a phone call telling me that Carl had died, and he had died and was in an American base in Afghanistan, and British government or British Army or anyone didn't even bloody tell our family. That the American Army did. Their special forces got onto it. They told us that he had died from a brain hemorrhage in his sleep on barracks, and the whole family was devastated. I definitely took it the worst. I was really upset, and because in my mind, Carl was Rambo. He wasn't just going to die in his sleep on base, and that doesn't sit right to me. To this day, that still does not. That's not what happened. And then, because at that time I was doing all this research, looking, and that's when I found out that September 11 was actually done by the bloody CIA.
Yeah.
And I'm looking in, and I might get into trouble for saying that, but we all know that's what happened.
We all know, Robert, and I'm from New York City, and we all know in New York City that that's the case, and have known since the beginning. It's
really makes me so angry that it makes disgusting. How dare they? That's I don't want to talk about that, but that's disgusting. That happened, and that happened I was only 14, 15 when it happened. So I know these are a little bit older than me, but just say if people had lived through World War II, or if they lived through something big in their lives, one of the big things that my generation would have lived through definitely was September 11, and I think it's disgraceful.
Yes.
It's disgraceful, it really is.
Yes.
But so that happened, and then automatically we already knew, because at the start I did think it was Osama bin Laden and the bad guys. And so did Carl, and I know for a fact, because I've seen Carl again, and I think it was about 2007. Because we got an Australian SAS barracks here in Swanbourne, based in Perth. Carl was actually stationed here for a little while, just to have because he was really. I'll get onto that in a minute of how deep he was involved in the scene. And he also, because you get the SAS, which is Special Air Service, and then you get the SDS, which is like it's slash it's like the code team of like Delta Team and Navy SEALs. Like one team is airborne, one team's airborne, one team goes in through the water. Yeah, and so he was actually SBS, and they're a special boat squadron, and they go in the submarines and get deployed deep underwater in submarines and stuff. And this is where I know beyond, like, the inside of me tells me beyond the doubt that Carl would have been used to go into underground alien bases, and I'll get onto that in a minute. But so what's happened is, so then he's died. I've taken it wrong, and then my family is like, Robert, you've got to have respect for the rest of your family. You can't be going around telling everyone that the Americans have killed Carl, and you can't be doing this, you can't be doing that. And I just was not that. So some of my family I haven't even seen since this happened, because of what's happened, and I'm just, you know what I mean? I feel as though I'm continuing his mission, sort of thing.
Yes. Well, you are. You're continuing it in a way that he could not do. Yeah. He was so deep undercover. He was so deep into the system, right?
Exactly. And he was. If you ever met him, he was the most beautiful person you've ever met. Like if you know Mammoth as well, Bear Grylls, he's like just like another. It's like his duplicate.
Yeah.
He's clone or something. But anyway, and he's the nicest man you've ever met. And I remember when he came to Australia in 2007. With the Australian base, and I was talking to him, and at that time I was still a bit dumb and whatever. I was just learning stuff, and I said to him, I said, "Oh, you boys been over there kicking a lot of ass in Afghanistan?" And he turned around to me and was like, "Robert," he goes, "it's not what it's about." He goes, "We're there to help these people. We're there to help." He wasn't a Rambo, if you know what I mean. He wasn't all guns blazing. He was actually there as the police, and he was the captain in the British SAS, SBS, so he would take out squadrons of special forces and be the guy in charge of their movements. and he was a very good man, and I know in my heart that he would have approved of anything that the bloody Americans want to do and what's going on now. You know, I reckon he would have found out that it was a false flag operation. It was just the whole to get troops in the Middle East. That's just the whole reason for it. Just have an excuse to already have troops there. And I think that's what would happen. And because of all the stress of doing that job and being away from his family for like years, like from 6 months to a year at a time on a mission, his personal life, so all this other stuff happened, but I won't get into that too much. But so then that's happened in 2012 September, and then once that happened, I was like, I've got really serious about looking into this golden age stuff about the Mayan calendar and another bit of ammunition for my weaponry that I needed. Just for my beliefs, a lot of it's to do with belief and in your mind as well, you know. So, and I was like, nah, I thought it sort of connected me to everything, because I found out September 11 was CIA. Now they just killed my family that's in the British Special Forces. So to me, it became very personal. And then about a week later, because I was still very upset, I seen my friend, one of my mum's friends. He's an older man, and I respect what he says. And he told me about the Hadron Collider in Switzerland. Are you still there?
Yes, the Hadron Collider, yes.
Yeah, and because we're talking about that, and he told me that one of the discoveries they'd made from that was they had smashed apart an atom, and it had completely duplicated itself perfectly. Whatever that atom would do, it would know what somehow there was something connecting them still. I'm sure you'd be more informed about it than I am.
Well, they created antimatter, a tiny little bit of antimatter by just basically smashing atoms into each other. Yeah. Oh, well, from what my friend told me at the time, basically that he just told me about the thing that how everything is connected through the energy. Everything in the universe is connected ultimately. Mhm. Yeah, and then he told me that because this was about a week after Carl had died, so I was really upset. And he just told me, he said, just to be brave and all that stuff, and just to know that Carl was still with me and would always be with me, because energy is always connected, and the energy doesn't just disappear; he's still there, sort of thing. Yes.
So with that belief, it's a funny story. The truth of it is, I went to the casino that night and I ended up having a bit of a win, $a few $1,000 at the casino. And I was like, I started feeling better, and I was like, geez, might be onto something here. And then a week later, I was driving down the road, and I seen 3 UFOs fly from underneath the moon.
Wow.
Shoot down, then went to the, and I was like, geez, that's UFOs again. I was like, oh, I got really excited. I was like, oh, and I was a little bit scared. I was like, and I was thinking to myself, should I ring the police? What should I do? And then I went home and I told my family, and they all thought, oh, Rob's really losing his mind at the moment. They all thought that I was really losing it because of Carl.
Oh dear.
And then I met this like a spiritual psychic lady, Donna, and I told her about my UFO experiences, and because at the time I didn't know what was going on. I look back on it now in hindsight and realise that was a huge year for me, 2012, and everything happened for a reason, you know. And she told me, she says, oh, if you keep seeing UFOs, the next time you see UFOs, you'll be with someone and you'll have a witness. And then after that, you'll be with a group of people. And then after that, you'll be able to film it. And it's exactly how it turned out.
Yeah.
I could tell you, I've got so many stories about UFO experiences. Like, yeah, that's fucking all day. And I've seen one, it wasn't the last one before. I've seen one almost every day now since what happened. I'll keep going. So then I started seeing the UFOs, and then it was getting really intense. And my mate that I'd been researching for all the Golden Age stuff with was meant to be my good mate. He turned around and sort of like did something that was, he lied to himself and he lied to me. You there?
Yes, we're right here.
Yep. And then what happened was I started working with one of his friends doing ceilings, and his name's Justin Darby. And he's the one who filmed the footage from that night, from the 20th of 2012. When we're driving in the car, that's the man. That's my friend that's filming. Yeah, and he'd seen, there's a real famous UFO incident that happened, funny enough, at around the year of 2000 in Perth, in Armidale, and him and his wife had seen it, and it was a huge sighting, and And so when I started for him, we talked about UFOs and stuff, and he'd already believed in them, and he'd already seen them. And so when we're driving down the road that night and we've seen them craft, the main reason why he was like, "No, come on, Rob, we've got to go do this job," because he's got 3 kids at home, and it was close to Christmas, and he'd seen UFOs 10 years before. Nothing had ever eventuated from it. You know, like it didn't pay his bills, or it didn't make him famous, or it didn't do anything. So he was like, yeah, so he'd see him and be like, "Yeah, cool, come on, Rob, we've got to go do this next job." And for me, it was like, the way I was looking at that whole situation was, no, there's only like a month or something to go, and then it's going to be the end of the world. There's going to be a big comet, or there's going to be a solar flare, or something's going to happen. And I thought that these UFOs that we're witnessing, when you start watching my footage on the 20th to 12th, I thought that they were there to come and pick everyone up that wanted to go and be safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A lot of people felt that. I mean, many of our colleagues here and people we know in UFOria were very invested in that idea.
Yeah, and so that's what I thought, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to just I'm not going to stay on this planet and get hit by a comet or die. And I thought to myself, this is it. I want to get upgraded and live for 1,000 years and go to the golden age. So these 5 minutes or 10 minutes that Darbs gave me on the side of the road while viewing these 3 craft, I could possibly, in my mind, everything that I could to get their attention, to just to do whatever I could do. And that's at the point where I was like, and that's when I was visualizing. I could go through it and visualize, tell you all the stuff that I was visualizing and all the stuff I was thinking and feeling, and I was scared and I was angry and I was like, geez, I just don't have time, and all these emotions and energy going through me. But somehow that's what it's happened for a second.
Robert, what did these 3 craft look like? Were they close enough for you to be able to see any structural shape, or were they just lights, or?
Okay, well, I'm just going to grab another cigarette and something.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah. The craft. Well, the 3 craft that night. Now I'm not someone that's just going to see something and go, "Oh, that's a UFO, that's a UFO." I'm my own biggest critic, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Are you there?
Oh yeah, we're here.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm my own biggest. Yep. Yeah,
we can hear you, Robert.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm my own biggest critic, you know, and it's like it wasn't until it's like I'll wake up in the mornings and I'll question myself about it, and I'll be like, and I'll make sure, and then I'll just remember a few things. I'm like, yeah, nah, it's definitely 100%. But so the 3 craft that we've seen were 3, and these things were 3 energy, like 3 energy balls. So I don't have to describe them, but they were like really bright, big lights, and they were hanging over the Perth International Airport. And there's 3 of them, because I've got so much proof to back this up. There's a plane, and it's because at the time because I've seen all these 747s just circling like up in the air zone above Perth, like around our city, waiting to land. And I was like, that's a bit odd. And then that's when we've come past the airport, and I've seen these 3, because I've been watching all the UFO stuff, like because I've been sort of training or educating myself about the UFO stuff as well. That as soon as I've seen these 3 energy ball craft, I knew exactly what they were, because I'd seen them in UFO footages before. So I that's exactly what they were, and I knew that they were exactly the same as the craft that I'd seen a few weeks prior to that, just after finding out Carl had died.
Oh.
And then, they're the ones the 2 that came from underneath the moon and then went to the right, and they were inside our atmosphere. Yeah, it's because there's the types that are inside our atmosphere and the ones that aren't. But these were just above the tree line. These were only like 200 meters above the ground, extremely close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was happening, and then, and so then we left. Then Dave was like, "Come on, we've got to go, because the three lights in the sky were just like making shapes. 2 of them started turning into one, and then they'll separate. It looked like they were kissing, like they were kissing each other almost.
Oh,
and they're making these shapes.
That phenomena where they come together and split apart, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, oh my god, and I wouldn't know how to describe them or what they were made of, but just to say that they were like an energy ball, but that could just think and do what it wants, and it can get as big as it wants, and it move as fast as it wants, and it can do. And obviously, I look back now and I know that they were at that point already inside our minds at some point, having some effect on our thoughts and our minds. But so then what's happened is then Dubs has gone, no, I've got to go do this cash job, because then what's happened is we were late as well to go back to his girlfriend or his wife's house. His wife sprang up and said, oh, the reason why we're late is because we're sitting on the side of the road looking at UFOs. She thought automatically that we're at the pub or at the strippers or something like that. She didn't believe that we're on the side of the road looking at UFOs, and that got me really angry. I was like, you fucking tell her what's going on, and like, 'cause obviously, and the cars just driving past, because everyone's worried about getting home at 7 o'clock so they can get up for work in the morning. Like, then these people just driving past and just missed out on on the most amazing thing that I've ever seen in my life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because they're worried about what the time was, or they're worried about something like that. Just things that annoy me.
Do you think, Robert, that they were? Do you think that they were showing themselves to you? Because there are a lot of occasions, and the only couple of times I've seen craft, I did not understand why no one else was reacting or pulling over, or so I kind of feel that maybe that was for you, that was special for you.
Yeah, I agree, and I can back that up as well. But this one thing I'll say is, but it's not like only I've seen it. They were there. I filmed them. I pointed them out to other people. They would see them. Do you know what I mean? It's not just something that's inside my mind.
Right.
It's like, if you know what I mean, it's like I filmed it. I filmed them as well, so they were there. But like you said, people don't see him, not because they don't want to see him, but because they're not even living in reality. They're living like tomorrow. They're living in ideas or whatever they're worried about at that time.
Yeah, they're trapped in a kind of a fear, stress realm of a very low vibration. Exactly.
Well said, Lesley. Exactly. Well said.
You.
Yeah. So then Dub's like, no, we've got to go. So we get in the car and we're driving away, and I say to him, I can't believe we're driving away from this. That is the golden age of come here away, blah blah blah. And then at that point in time, so we're driving down Tocken Highway, and the craft was still following. They started following us, and then what that's happened is all the airplanes that were trying to land, all of a sudden start landing their planes, like, because planes have been waiting a while to land, because the UFOs were sitting directly over the runway. Like, so I'm going to go back to this in a moment. But so we're driving away, and the only reason why I could get my boss and my good friend Dubs to stop the car and stop worrying about going to work and then to start pursuing these UFOs was because I told him, I said, look, if we get good footage of this, we'll put it on the internet, you might not ever have to work again, Darby. And then as soon as the money thing came into it, then he changed his mind and wanted to find him. And so then we've gone to go, like, because they were following us up to this point, we've gone to, like, turn around and start following them. They disappeared. And I thought to myself, fuck, it's because I had to use money. I had to use evil money to persuade friends to pursue these things. And then that's when we're looking for them for about 5 minutes, and we get to this place called Auto Sport Park, and then that's when you'll see on my footage, one shoots up above the front of the dash of the car, and then there's three of them above my roof of the car, then there's that one that flies over the roof of the car. Well, the most crazy thing about that is at that point we were filming, but we didn't even know that we were filming UFOs at that point. We were like, just had the phone in our hand, we're just talking, you know what I mean? We're just still looking for them. And so when we got back and looked at the footage and seen that the craft were like, somehow they, I don't know if I can describe it as through time travel or something like that, but somehow they knew when our technology, when our devices were filming them or not. And I could show you certain bits on my footage where they do things to prove that. But because I'm not a scientist, so I can't give you a scientific explanation about any of this.
No, but they do actually have they do have an ability to really fool around with our digital technology, and that's an absolute given. Those kinds of anomalies come up all the time, and it may be an extension of the way they perceive time, or the way that some of these beings perceive time. You know, it could have been like, well, for instance, I know you're getting to this story, but when you tell us about the abduction incident, photograph, there's a perfect example of a time-space distortion or anomaly.
I'll just tell you this because it works up to the abduction. That's all.
Yes, carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go on then.
And then I was thinking to myself, about the money, and then I thought to myself, well, I haven't proven myself to them because I've had to use evil money to convince my friend to want to pursue these things, which, for all that I know, have travelled like eons of time and eons of space just to be here at this planet, just to interact with me and just interact with us, and how disrespectful that we have to use money to want to honour them of that. And if you know what I'm trying to say,
they pulled you down. They pulled you down into that capitalist level.
Yeah, and then so at that point, that's when I crashed. I don't know if you see my footage or not, but if you listen of it, I crashed the car, but not really bad. I just crashed into like a little park bench, and I chucked my friend the keys, and I say to him, I say, "You can drive from now, like bloody let me out of the car. I'm going to high ground." And then as soon as I get out of the car and close the door, I take about 3 steps, and I was looking into like the horizon. I took 3 steps. I just felt something above me, like overwhelmed. I just knew there was something right above my head, and not only that, the ground lit up. So obviously, like something was above me. So I've looked up, and if I could have jumped about 10 centimeters higher, I would have been able to touch the bottom of this craft.
Wow.
I'll get into the thing now, describing it. And so I've looked up, and I couldn't see any sky or any star, any of the sky. So I don't know how big it was, but it was that close. It could have been the size of a car. And I would have known how big it was. That's how close it was to my face, like, if you know what I mean. And it was that close I couldn't see anything else but the underneath.
So you were within...
It wasn't the same colour. It was... Yeah, I was within about, I'll say, 3 metres of being away from it.
Right. Oh, yeah. Okay, 3 meters. Okay.
Yep. About 3 metres away from it was above my head. So I was standing there as if I was looking directly up into the sky, and it was right there above my head, and I've just gone, wow. And like, I had a moment just to realise what was going on, then I had a moment to decide if I was going to be scared or not, and then I had a moment to decide, go, wow, let's get a real good look at this now. And as I was getting a real good look, the propulsion system of the propulsion system just inside, like multiple levels inside of itself, started spiralling. It all started spiraling. I really need to be able to draw it. It's hard for me to use words to explain it, but it jumped up about like 20, like, it didn't make any sound. It jumped up about 20 metres up into the sky just above me, and then just shot off like a bullet.
Oh, wow.
Just shot off into space like a bullet. And the closest bit of footage or anything I can find on the internet that comes close to it is that sighting in Israel, where that big Buddhist temple place.
Oh yes, I saw
but
that.
Then 3 people get the 3 camera angles of it, and it does that quick flash of light, and then shoots off.
Yeah, and then out. Yeah.
Exactly what happened to me. I told my friends that, and they all think I'm going crazy, but whatever, it doesn't matter. But that's exactly what happened. And the craft that was above my head was different to the 3 craft that we'd seen, we were interacting with at that moment as well, because the craft that was over my head was like an electronic, metallic blue colour. Yeah, and I can only, it's like a bluey purpley colour, and it was solid, but it wasn't metal. It was like, do you know Predator, off the movie Predator, the alien?
Yes.
And you know when he goes invisible, and you can sort of see him, but he's there, but he's not.
Absolutely. He's looking at the heat signatures.
Yeah, I could see not the thermo camera. What actually Predator, when Arnold Schwarzenegger and that look at him in the trees and he's invisible. Oh
yes, okay.
Like his camouflage.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yep, it was that, but with like a tinge of blue in it. But the 3 big main lights, which were really intense blue, weren't like that. Oh, it's so hard for me to explain.
It sounds kind of holographic in a way, like they were using some type of camouflage that used holographic technology, eh?
Yeah. Well, my theory on it is, and looking into it and doing my research, is that the three craft that I've seen are like scout awareness craft. They're like pods or something like that. They like go out and does its look. It's like its eyes and its ears and its awareness. And then so when these 3 things confirm something, then the main craft will come in, because that's what, and I know this is what happened.
Yeah.
And
they're probes.
I call them awareness pods. But so I've looked up, I've looked up and it's there and it's spiraled and it's just shot up. And at that moment, I'm still thinking to myself, I thought to myself, yes, it doesn't matter about the money. They've quickly come here to get me, to take me away to the golden age or give me, because I want to survive. I want to keep going. And so at that point, I wasn't scared, and I said, I'm ready, let's go. I'm ready to go. I'm like giving you permission to do this. And I felt a bit of me spiral up into the craft, but everything that goes from that point onwards is like, I what it's saying, because I can't really give you 100% proof to back a lot of that up. But you know what I mean? That's what happens past that bit. But then the funny thing is, I'm still there on the ground, and I went to work for 2 days. But in them 2 days, I was feeling amazing. Like it felt like my blood was champagne. It was like bubbling. Every single bit of me was like just tingling and bubbling, and I felt so good, and I was so happy because I had my confirmation. I knew that the UFOs were real, and the most amazing thing about it all was they knew that I was alive. They were, not only was I aware that they existed, they were aware of me. How amazing is that? Like,
yeah.
I find it mind-blowing that these things, from where they're from, are aware that I exist. They're aware of me. Like that's where I get all of my energy from, all of my inspiration from. Just knowing that. Just knowing that somewhere, wherever they are right now, that I may slip into their mind every now and then. How crazy is that?
I know. It's remarkable, isn't it? And I think that they can.
It blows my mind.
I think that they can, always connect with you because they obviously they understand energy signatures, and each one of us emanates their own specific energy signal for the duration of your lifespan. And so, who needs implants? I mean, there are implants that have been used, but I think that most of the evolved beings simply just key into your energy to locate you. Yeah,
and I think it's got something to do with your intentions as well. If you're a person that's a good person, like I am, and my intentions have always been I've always been good. I don't intend any wrongdoing for no one. I think they also like that as well. Because some people will be like just ego-based, all about, you know what I mean? Like, or trying to make profit out of it, or it's never been about that to me. None of this has been about making money or anything like that. It's just the whole idea and just knowing, just the feeling good about knowing us. I don't know how to say it.
Well, they got your number. Yeah. They got your number when you were a child, and they got your signature when you were a child. Yeah.
And they selected you for very specific reasons. I'm sure that there's that you have abilities. And they may even be, genetically transmitted, that come from your family line. I mean, there's a lot of evidence to show that many experiences are multi-generational. I see it all the time in my practice. Robert, could I ask you...
Because there's a lot more to my story. Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what were you going to say?
Oh, nothing really of huge importance. I was just going to ask you, because Australia is so prominent in UFO sightings. There are so many sightings going on in your beautiful country. And I know that the Aboriginal peoples, like our Aboriginal peoples in Canada, have a very strong belief and connection with the sky people. Do you think that the Aboriginal peoples are interacting with beings?
For sure, 100%, and for sure, definitely. And I can give you some stories or some backing on that as well, if you. I'll just quickly just finish.
Yes, please carry on. And you know what I'm going to say right now, Robert? I think we're going to have you on for part 2 in a month or so, because there's just too much cool stuff that you've got to tell us about. So we have about.
I haven't even got to the main stuff yet.
I know, but don't
worry.
It's okay. It's okay, guy. We have about 5 minutes left on tonight's show, and we have recurring guests, and we have a guest that sees UFOs every other day. He reminds me of you, and you remind me of him. So we'll work with the 5 minutes we've got left here, and then we'll arrange to have you back. Is that cool?
Oh, please, yeah, I would love that. That'd be excellent.
Fantastic.
Because, yeah, the last 5 minutes. All right, so the craft went over my head. It did that spiraling thing. It exploded my head, and I felt a part of me go with the ship, and also and then it disappeared, and it just shot off. It didn't disappear. Sorry, it shot off into the sky and took off. And then at that point, Dubs has parked his car, turned his car off, was looking at the damage that I'd done, which wasn't nothing because I was looking out the window, I was looking for UFOs. I wasn't even looking where I was driving. And because sometimes I used to get really conscious about my body, and I'd never take my t-shirt off. But what happened was after this seconds after this happened, my t-shirt came straight off. All my clothes came off. I was running up down the road. I was like, "Wow!" I was like, "Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see how close it was? Did you see that?" And he was like, "No, I didn't see it." And at that point, I knew that was for me. I knew that they had done that for me. They had like I'd always say it like as a girl that flashes her, like pulls up her skirt and flashes you or something like that, or something. You know, like they flashed themselves to me, and I was like, "Oh, I want more. I've got more." You know. More. But you know, so so then at that point I knew that and this is where the story gets really interesting now, and I can take it to anywhere you want to go with it, and because I've worked since then, I've just dedicated 24 everything of me, everything to this cause. Like, why would these things be aware that I exist? Know all this stuff, obviously knew what I was thinking at that time, obviously knew all that, obviously knew that I was scared I'd run them away because I was worried about money and all this stuff, and then how beautiful then just for me to look up and then to be that close that I won't say that I felt heat off of their craft. I definitely didn't hear nothing, but I can't explain to you how close it actually was. It was so close. It was so, and then just to do that for me and then take off, and to me, like, they didn't have to abduct me and give me upgrades or do anything. Just that alone, just giving me that, just taking away doubt out of my mind and letting me just 100% believe without any doubt whatsoever. That's been truly the biggest gift, I think.
Yes, that in itself is an upgrade. Being able to release any of that negative stuff that was just sort of weighing you down. Well, Robert, I just want to thank you for all the incredible work you do. You put up the most thought-provoking, interesting materials, and I should mention your Facebook page, which is called Yours and Mind Dimension, and there's always all interesting, intriguing information up there that Robert is collecting and synthesizing and analyzing and putting up. So thank you for the incredible work that you do, and I can't wait to have you back on again, and we can carry on with the rest of your amazing stories, Robert.
Thank you, Liz, so much, and thank you so much, Wes, as well.
You're welcome. Yeah, we'll do a part 2 for sure, because we never want to cut anyone off. We want to get them to tell their whole story, and it generates interest with people just like you.
And many people listening tonight will be very comforted by hearing your story, Robert, because there are many people out there who have seen incredible phenomena, and they have no one to talk to about it, and they're so fearful of, public commentary. But thank you for being brave and all the wonderful work that you do. And we will be in touch, and we'll be on. We'll have you back on for part 2 of the Robert Mason Chronicles.
Oh, thank you. That sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right, mate. Listen, bless you, and have a great day, and we will talk soon.
Thank you, Lesley. Thank you, Wes.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye now.
Okay. Bless you.